it's not only the best performing in its category, but it's also the cheapest. Hey up, I'm Guy Kestevan, the Tester Man, and today I'm waxing lyrical about the ultimate 150mm to 160mm travel fork from RockShox, the Lyrik Ultimate. So, structurally, this fork hasn't changed at all. The only difference is that those longer bushings that they pulled out of Boxer, they've basically done better QC on the alignment of them now. So you're not getting that binding under braking that you used to get on some Lyriks. I mean, it's more obvious on Pike. Oh, new line into that. But now you've got a super smooth 35mm fork chassis that just lets the debonair air spring, which again unchanged, but more specifically this Charger 3.1 damper, really get on with doing its thing. But the difference between that old Charger 3 damper and the new 3.1 is very, very significant. I mean, same architecture, same idea of keeping low and high speed very separate, but you've now got much lower level on the low speed compression, and then a bigger shim stack pyramid on the high speed compression. So effectively a much wider compression adjustment range, plus you've got a lower spring force in that mid valve, and overall that means 68% more oil flow in open, but then smoother ride all the way through. Basically just way more adjustment either side, plus there's actually 3 aftermarket shim tune kits you can get. So 3 different compression stacks and then 2 rebound stacks, which is a really nice kind of factory style aftermarket option. But the great news is most people are just gonna be able to find the perfect setup just in the stock fork. So you got 14 clicks of low speed compression, 4 clicks of high speed compression, which is nice and simple on top of the fork once you get used to the new direction on RockShox dials anyway. And very similar to the Super Deluxe rear, that high speed just kind of is basically just a support setting. So if you run plenty, it just sits the fork up nice and high in the stroke. Particularly good obviously on more kind of flowy bermy stuff, but still sensitive enough to cope with low speed jank like your classic stain burn black run sections. And it just means you can set the fork, well, like I said before, it's a genuinely wide range, a very usable adjustment before you even get into those custom shim stacks. And the low speed, it's pretty subtle, you know, you're not going to notice individual clicks in the car park. But once you get dialing it in on the trail, get some time into the fork, then it's just another way of controlling sensitivity, smoothness and traction off the top compared to how much you want the fork moving when you're pedaling or shifting body position. And also, as I say, zero spiking or any issues like that from the fork now when you run it open. Oh, open or wherever you've got it in the damper, to be honest, it's insanely smooth. And as RockShox claimed, no corruption of the low speed with the high speed and vice versa. And if you watch my review of the latest Fox dampers, that's really significant, because while I can run happily kind of mid-dial, I mean, I generally run a little bit on the minus side on both compression, high and low speed on this fork, just because I like a more fluid feeling fork, and I'm generally riding high traction stuff rather than high G-out stuff. I can do that without any worry of blowing my wrists up or getting jolted and jarred. Whereas even fully open on the latest Grip X2 damper from Fox, I was finding a lot of jarring through that fork. And that's a reversal actually from the previous. If you saw that test I did, Lyrik versus Fox last time, was actually the older Lyrik and the Fox that I preferred the feel of. Whereas now, very much this Lyrik, in terms of control and adjustability for a wide range of riders, all about this Lyrik for me. The only thing I would say, even with no spacers in, no bottomless tokens, whatever you want to call it, I don't know, that forks bottomless tokens anyway. Travel that reduces, volume reduces. God, concentrate on the trail, guys. It is progressive, so I am struggling to get that last bit of travel out the fork, but that might just be because I'm not a gnar enough rider to properly slam it into stuff or case it in mega jumps. And the other thing, it is heavier than previous Fox, and a lot heavier, like 300 grams. I think it's 100 grams heavier than standard 36, but 300 grams heavier than that new Fox 36 SL. And as I'm currently running this Lyrik in 150mm, which is where that 36 SL tops out at, that's a significant thing. Good news is, I've got that fork in a box in the workshop, and that'll be going on next. So I know people are going to be asking how this compares to that fork. Just going to have to wait a few weeks so I've got enough time on that fork to properly compare it. Although, one thing I do know is I never suffer with tracking issues on this Lyrik. Yeah, theoretically 35mm fork on this, 35mm stanchion on this, compared to 36mm on the Fox. In terms of structure, possibly a little more fluid and forgiving on the Lyrik, but certainly not twisty or twangy in any way. And that's where it really wins over the Matic, the Manitou in this category. Oh, but I've got Cane Creek coming as well, so that'll be an interesting head-to-head. Got a special purple one I'm saving for me Carbon Wasp build. So It's going to get busy on testing this category, but right now, this Lyrik is absolutely the benchmark. So it'll be really interesting to see if it holds on to that position. Oh, one thing, this RockShox is a hell of a lot cheaper than the Fox. And even that Cane Creek. So you've got the best performance in class currently, plus the best performance for price. And the other nice thing is, well, it's a shame they kind of had a backstep with Charger 3. You can obviously retrofit this 3.1 damper if you've got a Lyrik Charger 3 fork. And you can also fit the same damper into their cheaper forks as well. But don't tell RockShox I told you that. Right, so face cam is almost certainly my worst idea ever. But we don't know until we try it, and it's only the conclusion. But basically, yes, it's a little heavier than 36. Yeah, I've got this wrong. And it feels like there's a hydraulic bottom out damper. I don't think there is, but that's what it feels like at the bottom of the stroke. It stops it getting full travel unless you really smash it round. But otherwise, it's not only the best performing in its category, but it's also the cheapest. So it's hard to know why I wouldn't recommend this RockShox Lyrik Ultimate, or indeed the Select Plus, which gives you nearly all the same advantages for even less cash. But then, if you are worried about weight, that Fox 36 SL might be a new challenger. But to be fair, that's more of a Pike challenger, even then. But it's all good fun. It's all interesting testing. So, to support that, if you could click to subscribe, click the notifications, give me a thumbs up like, and if you really like what I'm doing here, throw me some cash on Patreon on a monthly basis via the desktop app, not Apple, because they take 30%. That would be bloody marvellous. But for now, I've been Guy Kestervan on Guy Kes TV, telling you that the latest RockShox Lyrik Ultimate with Charger 3.1 damper is indeed the ultimate all-round trail fork to beat right now.